Welcome to the Village of Buchanan board meeting it's a special meeting also of Tuesday, April 22nd. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Whoops. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, did I hit you with the
No,
chair?
no,
Oh, it went flying.
no.
Okay, so, let's see, the first thing is, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing again on the 2025-2026 tentative budget. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have discussed this several times, the tentative budget. Tonight, we're hoping to adopt it. Do any of the board members have any comments about the budget? Would anybody like to say anything? Like I said, we've had 2 meetings and we've gone over different things on the budget.
I do.
Okay.
Great job in the budget. I don't like the increase. I think that we, like I said last time, we padded our fund. And our fund balance is we have a surplus.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And I personally would like the increase to be around 2%. That's my personal, I think it's good that way. I think it's good. I think we're saving for the future, which we have no idea what it is. You know, and I know the cessation fund is coming down, but we're hoping that development will bring it back, you know? And me personally, I have a young son, and I'm not going anywhere. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to do what's right for me and the rest of the village, especially the people with fixed incomes, you know? And that's my take on it. But otherwise, you did a great job.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah.
And I know last time we had mentioned about if it could be lowered. You know, sometimes it's not about looking, you know, for more income, but sometimes it's watching your expenditures too, that can bring down that. And I just had a few questions for Marcus. So our fund balance now is at, what is the number?
2 million?
The available fund balance is $2 million.
Okay, and the fund balance that we need to maintain,
That's the $2 million.
that's the 2 million?
2 million, that's
I
correct.
thought it was always
No,
1.5.
the $2 million is the excess
Right.
that can be
Right.
expended. That's
So the fund balance at 1.5 is usually, that's the goal, to be in that area for 1.5 fund balance, but there's an additional $2 million at this time. Now, is that all in, the $2 million in the fund balance? Like, is it showing 3.5 million? Because I know the state for many years, if the fund balance went over a certain amount, they were concerned about that, because I just remember hearing that if it goes too extreme, then they feel that we might be overtaxing our residents.
And that's not correct. Because
Okay.
I know municipalities have over $30 million fund
Oh,
balance.
okay, well, good for them,
Yeah.
right?
The school districts, just to let you know, the
Oh.
school districts are restricted
Okay,
to how
maybe
much fund
that's,
balance.
okay,
Not
maybe that's
cities
what I
or
heard.
villages.
Okay, that's good. So, but I think a safe one is at 1.5 million. Okay, so I did mention this last time, I know we had a discussion on this, with the 2 million over. I think we need to keep an eye on that, because this year alone, there was an additional 772,000, which is almost 10% of our budget. So I think it's good to have excess and not be below, but a 10% increase of what our budget is kind of substantial. And I know you explained about the interest, and there were 2 other components too. So I think that's something for everyone to keep an eye on, that yes, it's a healthy increase, but, you know, I think we have to be considerate of our residents too, and, you know, not have a substantial amount like that as excess. So that's just my thought on
I
that.
didn't plan it that way either. It just
Yeah,
so happened with
that's
the
good.
numbers.
Yeah, and I think the interest rates with the economy right now should continue to be good.
Interest rates have dropped.
Have they? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, but I know there were two other components. I think it was the sewer treatment, the sewer
Sewer fee,
fund,
and that's
a
been-
sewer fee,
it's
and
fee,
then there was
that's
something else.
based
So
on
there were
the
three
amount of
components.
usage From the
Right.
sheetrock plant and from the Holtec.
Okay. All right. I did have a few other, does anybody have any questions on the board? No? Okay. There were a few questions I had in the one report. Is there anyone in the audience, while I'm looking at this report, is there anyone in the audience that have any comments on the budget?
Out of all of you, nobody has anything to say?
Eileen spoke the last time. Yeah, Eileen spoke the last time.
I did have a few things, just a few questions. So I'm looking at the expense control report, and I don't have the other one in front of me. What do we have this year in that account? Do we have, the original budget for last year was $40,000 for
Where's the
computers?
account? Wait, I have no idea.
Well,
what
it's just
account.
for the computer expenses. Are we continuing to look at heavy computer expenses for this year?
I have to replace all the scanners, the servers have to be replaced.
I
Yeah.
thought they
No,
got
the
done
s-
to not too long ago.
No, the scanners were about 5 or 6 years ago, and
Really?
due to the Windows update, most of
Okay.
the scanners are not working right now. So I have to replace all the scanners.
Okay.
Marcus, Mayor, can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
sure, absolutely.
So when we had the last meeting, I questioned on page 14 of the budget, the interfund transfers.
Yes.
You were going to give me a breakdown between the paving and the fire department. I guess you said those were the two items.
Yeah, that was. So the 550 interfund transfer on the bottom, that's the transfer from the water fund to the capital. That's the 550.
Okay.
And then your 350 above that is the 300,000 for the paving and the $50,000 for the fire department.
Because that's the vehicle replacement fund, the
Correct.
50K.
Correct.
All right. And then if you could just let the board know also, you can email us what's in that fund now for the vehicle replacement for the fire department in the next couple of days. We could see what that is.
Cindy will down
Thank
there
you,
get that
Cindy.
for you. Yep.
Or Dominic, or,
Yep.
yeah, thank you. And on the shared services, village hall personnel, part-time other, that's budgeted at 30,000. We should probably go through that. Okay, that's our part-time person, Timmy?
Correct.
That's, okay.
Correct.
Just a few questions, that's all. Oh, the unallocated insurance. What is unallocated insurance?
That's general liability insurance for
Okay.
the entire village.
Okay. That's like 170,000.
Correct.
Not cheap, not cheap. None of the insurances are now. Everything's going up, right, Dan?
Oh, please.
Yeah. And the contingency account now is at 355,000.
The current year has been reduced. Is that the original budget or just the budget?
This is the expense control report. And then adjusted budget, and there was 48,500 year-to-date adjusted. Okay, that must be the 48,000 that came out of the 355.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just a few questions, that's all. Just some things that jumped out at me. Okay. All right. Those are my questions and comments. So, if there's no one else?
No, I just,
Okay.
Marcus, you did a great job. I kind of echo this same thoughts as Teresa and Anthony as far as it's kind of a balance act.
Correct.
And I think at this point in time, and I think you planned ahead really well, but I think if we could kind of reduce that number a little bit, I think that's going to help our residents. And I think just get things closer in line.
I agree with the rest of the board. I think that's the sentiment going across the board here. If we could whittle that number down.
And like I said before, you want to remove contingencies up to the board, and if whatever happens, happens throughout the year. I went through every single line item. If you look at the expenditure report or you look at the budget history, I actually try to average it over the last 3 or 4 years. look at the actual expenses, and that's what I balance out, what I try to balance out too.
Yeah, I don't think it's any reflection of the work that you did.
No,
I think
no,
you did a
I'm just-
fantastic job, and I think you planned ahead, but I just think, as a board, I think it's just wise if we try to, you know,
Absolutely.
Try to-
And
try
my
to soften
I'm
the
trying to
blow.
give you-
Yeah,
My
I agree.
suggestion would be contingency, unless you see a line item you want to reduce. Again, it's your budget at this point, so whatever the board wants to do, I got my spreadsheet here, you tell me what you want to cut, and I'll tell you what the new number is.
As
So
it
you tell me what
is,
you want.
as the numbers stand, how does it affect the residents?
it's a.
It's $120.81 for the average taxpayer, or $10 a month.
Per month?
Correct.
4.7%?
4.11.
4.11.
4.11.
And you said about $130?
$120.81.
And that's on what assessment? What dollar, what was the assessment?
$400,000 assessment. Well, current value about 400,000 house.
4.1%.
And that's what I'm saying. I just want to make sure that the public knows as well. Just on the cessation fund, it probably lost 5.5%.
Yeah.
So I had to make that up as well.
Yeah.
And then all the increase in expenses. So I looked at all the expenses, all the revenues, and see what the average is going to be. Like I said, mortgage tax and sales tax came out good. I don't know what the projection is for the new year. So, like I said, to be conservative, if the board wants to reduce it, we can take out whatever amount of contingency you want, and our contingency would be our fund balance in case we go over budget. But we have to be prepared that we have a deficit, we'll have a deficit. As long as everybody's okay with a deficit, I'm good with it. So you tell me
We
what you
don't
want.
know. The crystal ball's not working
That
today.
is a variable, though.
Yeah.
Correct.
We
I
never
mean,
know.
but we have a
Correct.
surplus now,
Correct.
a tremendous
I would
surplus.
rather
Yeah.
keep a
Yeah.
surplus.
So whatever the board wants to do, you tell me, give me a number, I'll plug them in.
Can I ask
Yeah.
you, with the contingency, we have hired other people, and would that salary come out of the contingency?
No, the salary, the people who we have are in a regular budget.
No, the people we just recently hired,
They
the
were-
firm.
The firm?
Yeah.
Yes, because we don't know how much that's gonna be, that's correct.
Okay.
And potential salary increase for the police department is in contingency
Yeah,
as well.
that's usually goes in there. Yeah. Okay.
It's tough.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
I'm at your pleasure, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you had said last time, I think every 1%
It's
is a
about
50.
$46,000.
Right.
So if you wanted to lower it a percentage, you wanted to lower it 2%.
2% would
it'd
be about,
I'll plug in a number
Eighty.
right
close to
now. What's the
90.
number? Hold on a
Yeah.
second.
Or 100,000.
Let me go on contingency and just play around with it right now. Hold on a second. We're at 255. If I lowered that by 100,000,
Oh, that would be $60 per person, roughly. It's half, roughly.
if I knock that down, you're down 1.99%, or $58.57, or $4.88, and you got $155,000 in contingency left over.
I know this is a tough decision to make on just like that. So if the board wants, we have to do this before May 1st. So if you'd like to think about it and meet again, just specifically for that this month, do a special meeting. If, you'd like to look at it. Yes, ma'am, you can come up. Thank you, Eileen.
I just wanted to say that I'd like to split the hairs. You want 2, it's up at 4, go for 3.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to go into a
Deficit.
deficit, and I don't want to have a surplus that's
well,
astronomical.
and that's the thing, I don't think anybody here wants a deficit. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we're taking
Yeah.
into consideration, the large surplus that we do have.
So that's why I'm saying I'd split the hairs and go with 3, if you can do it.
So what
and
does it
that'll,
look like,
you know,
3%?
Thanks, Eileen.
Thank you, Eileen.
So that's basically where we were at the last meeting, right? Marcus said that if we
I think you said 3.6% at the last meeting, right, Marcus?
Yeah.
When you
I'll
took out the
do-
number?
I'll do 200. Even 200, even 200,000 contingency is 2.97, I mean, 2.94, $86.58, or $7.21 a month. 2.94.
It would be what?
2.94.
Okay, and what did you say would come out to?
$86.58 for the year, or $7.21.
Leaving 200,000 in.
Leaving
contingency.
200,000 contingency, correct.
I like that.
I do too.
So
I'm
then,
just looking at what the residents will pay.
And that'll bring it down to the 3%, you said?
2.9.
2.9.
Below
I-
3%.
I think it's
I'm
just,
a rounder.
I
I'm a
think
rounder
it's just
up.
a,
It's
you know-
2.943.
2.94.
If we take out 100,000 out of contingency.
Yeah, well, down, it was 55,000. So
55,000.
it was
As a
255,
percentage, yeah.
255, we're knocking
Right.
down to 200.
I think it just gives people
Little breathing room.
a little breathing room, a sense of us, you know, taking into consideration whatever everybody's situation may be,
Mhm.
and trying to come in with a number that's, you know, fair.
Will that bring us to the cap still, or no?
No, the cap is 2%.
Okay,
You're 0.94 above it.
that's all right.
But there's really no benefit
No,
to stay on.
no more. And
There's
when they
nev-
first started that, remember, when they first started that?
They
if
gave you some extra money or
Yeah,
something like that. yeah.
the homeowner could
You
get
get
a
nothing
check.
You get
but-
nothing from the state.
Mm-mm. They should stay within a cap. What? Yes.
So did you want to table this, or did you want to move forward, Therese?
It's up to you guys. I want to hear, Steve is okay with?
Yeah,
the
I'd like to
3%?
resolve it
I
tonight.
will do.
Yeah.
I would
Will
like to
you?
resolve. I'm
Okay,
good with the
all right.
2.9.
So would I.
Okay, all right. Okay, then that's.
I'm
where
good
we
with
are.
it too.
We're at 2.94.
I don't know how you
Thank
Going
do
once.
it. but
That's
thank
it.
Oh, no
Okay.
problem. Anytime.
So, no more comments from the floor. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
you. Aye.
Aye.
Now, Cynthia, where did I put my papers? Thanks, Steve. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt the 2025-2026 budget at a rate of 3.94%, 2.94%. Just checking to see if you guys were awake,
We're
that's
awake,
all.
we're awake.
Okay, you're good, doing good.
No quizzing.
Okay. And also the water rates. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Marcus, for a great job.
Anytime.
You should come
So,
home.
And Cindy, and Sharon, and Dominic.
so we are moving on to the wading pool. This is exciting. Okay, and I know the gentleman had sent us, Marcus had
I can
sent
put some
us.
stuff on the screen if you want.
Yeah, please do, yeah,
There's
yeah.
So many.
And, yeah, oh my gosh, I was having fun looking at everything. I found it. There we go.
Okay, yeah, I want to make sure I got the right screen. That way the public can see it too, that's why. So, I'm gonna try to zoom into some other ones we have, hold on a second. So we had you can't see it?
Oh, kind of, yeah.
Let me go back out. Give me a minute, I'll see if I can share the right screen here. Here it goes. Do you get it now, Mike? Okay, good.
Okay.
So, this is some examples. You got the little guns that you can shoot. There were so many. You got the buckets.
That might be a little much.
The bucket. You got the little mushrooms. Mm-hmm. I know there was concern of one of the residents talking about the water. It's so heavy, it'll knock the kids down. This is a very light
Like a
water
mer-
that comes off the mushrooms. Just
What's
to,
heavy, the water?
yeah, people complain it might knock. Somebody mentioned at one of the last meetings
Got
that
little ones
that,
here.
that,
so-
that the water will be so strong that will knock down a little kid or something. So, no, this is made for little children. So I want to make sure, I want to put that on the record, it's not going to knock down the child.
Thank you for that, Marcus.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So the mushroom and the umbrella,
see-
are similar
and you can see what the
concept.
price is about, 40 inches, $6,000, and that.
But that's just the feature,
That's
that
just the
doesn't
feature.
include the UV
Nope.
or any other
The
piping.
UV is $25,000
Right.
extra. But then you got to include all the plumbing that goes along with this, just to buy the piece of equipment.
The
So,
equipment isn't the expense,
yeah,
really.
so it's just-
And the umbrellas are cute, the little umbrellas, similar concept.
and then you got something like this, which is, move that over.
See, but the UV is a one-time expense. If you
Correct.
ever wanted to add another feature, it's already in place.
That's correct. Yeah.
So it's like, it's just a one-time expense.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you got little spray things that come out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
example
that's
like
the
like
confetti
this.
spray. Yeah.
You got medium ones. You got something like this is not a bucket, it's a little bit, this considered medium spray. What he told me was there's so many different options.
Yeah,
Or you got the little, like a little tunnel
those were cool.
that the water shoots at the kids as they go through. It just depends. Do you want to be interactive, or do you just want them to just to press a button? Do you want the little guns like the one here?
Let's stay
It's
away from the
endless.
guns.
It's endless. So you got like something like this, was like it looks like a little mushroom, and the water
Yeah, it's
comes
cute.
down a little bit. You got a little spray that comes out of the ground. It just
Yeah.
Yeah,
you got-
yeah.
yeah. You got the
Those
me too.
Bronx girls.
That's what I had too. So I sent the board all the different types there are, and some of them have prices. And again, he said that he'll be willing to price out anything you want, but he's in a holding pattern until a feature is picked, so he can incorporate it in the plans. He said, I told him, why would you have an idea what you recommend? I said, Marcus just asked me what color I like.
Yeah.
It's unlimited.
That was kind of my question, just, and I know this is my second meeting back here, but
Yeah.
has the public been involved in the process or
Just this
have looked
process,
anything?
just
Because I
this
know,
meetings.
when I was sitting in the audience, I really didn't get a feel for exactly what was being discussed or what the offerings were. And I just didn't know if there was, any other public involvement or any other people we can get involved.
We had the recreation committee
That's kind
there.
of
John is coming to speak
Great.
tonight about his thoughts. And John, if anybody has experience,
Yeah.
John is the man. John
Yeah, that's kind of
Palmiero.
what I was
Okay.
alluding to, yeah.
And I know I looked at all of them. The rain frog was kind of cute. The
Yeah.
rain serpent, that was kind of cute. So I think it's a choice between the umbrella and the mushroom. The rain bucket, I think that might be you're gonna mostly have toddlers in there.
Right.
You're not gonna have teenagers, so you
Right.
have to be.
We shouldn't.
aware
And
of
you've got a
that. Yeah,
small
well,
We
hopefully
shouldn't.
not.
And you've got a small space too, so you can't
Yeah.
put too much, right?
Yeah, that little tunnel thing that the water shoots from the sides
That's
is pretty
cute, yeah.
cool. That way
That's
a
cute.
child can run through it and get a little wet. And so, you tell me what you like.
John, would you like to say a few words?
they all are accepting to toddlers, and I've had
Yes.
5 children to go through water parks. and
Absolutely.
I've never seen anybody get knocked over.
Correct, but
They're all accepting to toddlers and of kids of all ages,
Correct.
and I've never had a problem with them.
good.
Hi, John Palmiero, Buchanan resident. I would just like to say, with my experience, the mushroom and the umbrella would be the two best choices. It's a nice water flow that comes down. As you know, I was the director of the town of Cortland for 20-some-odd years. We've always had a mushroom. The mushroom has been there for a long time, and then we added some other features. But the mushroom is always the big hit because it's in the shallow end. So right now, the town of Cortland does not have a toddler pool, but it has a 0 depth entry. So that's right around where the mushroom is. It's in about, I think it's about not even 1.5 feet of water. The kids love it. The little ones can be underneath it. The older ones can be underneath it. I wouldn't go with the smaller 4-foot one. That's too small because a kid's 3 foot,
Right.
they're going to be able to touch it.
What would you recommend?
I would go with the 10-foot one, or maybe a little bit smaller, but I wouldn't go with the 4-foot one. And the water loop is also a nice feature. They're colorful. It's something that you would say. I wouldn't go with anything that's coming out of the ground because there's no visible feature there.
Right.
And I wouldn't go with the water guns for obvious reasons, or the water buckets because the water will come down pretty forceful. We added a couple smaller features the last couple years. But the only thing I'll say about that is it's more or less just for one person to be under. Like if you have, I think with the sea serpent, the water comes out, but it's really just going to engage one swimmer. But the mushroom and the umbrella, there could be numerous swimmers around it, and they're going to love it. You can get a little bit of shade out of it if you want to position yourself right. The kids will be under it. But again, you can have up to a dozen kids enjoying that one feature. So you don't really want to limit to just one swimmer, where some of the water features will come up. But the mushroom and the umbrella, I think, are two great features to look at. I would just pick one because obviously if you have the mushroom, you don't really need the umbrella, vice versa. And then maybe think about a water loop where we just talked about a couple minutes ago where the kids can walk through. And they'll have some nice color to them, and it'll be a nice visual, appealing structure that will have some color to it. So that's really why I wanted to come by tonight and give you my 2 cents on that.
Professional opinion,
Okay.
yes.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate that.
Sure.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So I think John made two really good recommendations, the mushroom
Yeah.
and the water loop.
I agree.
Yeah, I like those
I like the
suggestions.
mushroom.
Yeah. Yeah, if we can incorporate them both, I don't know what the cost is,
cost,
but I
right.
think that'd be,
Yeah, we have,
Really good.
I'll have him be able to give us a price not only for the purchase, but also the installation. So I asked him to get that, I'll email the board that, and if you guys are okay with it, then he can go to the county. What's good about he's gonna do is, as soon as he finishes the plans, 95%, he's gonna also submit this to contractors done other work, and just see what the estimate price is, so that the board can know, have an idea
Yeah.
what that would be.
Okay.
great.
All right, that's good. Moving along, good.
Cool.
Very good. Okay, so, thank you. Thanks, John. The next, we have our planner here, Dave Smith. He's gonna speak on a few things. If anybody has any questions on the rezoning of the M2 district, that is going to be on the agenda for the May 6th meeting. And the other thing is, we had asked Dave to look at rezoning the 240 acres of the Holtec property. And I was able to connect Dave last week with some of the people at Holtec. They had a really good conversation on what their thoughts were, because let's always remember, it's their property. We have thoughts for the reuse of it and, to be respectful to them. So Dave and they have the connection now and answered some of Dave's questions. And Dave, if you'd like to explain to the board, what your thoughts are and get some direction, and also their thoughts of the property next to Certainty.
Yeah. So, as you recall, the village board has initiated the rezoning process already. You've circulated a notice of intent to act as lead agency under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. With that circulation, you included draft zoning, you included zoning map amendments, revisions to your comprehensive plan. So those were provided to all of the other interested and involved agencies and the stakeholders, which is the Certainty and Holtec. Both received copies of that notice with all of the supporting documentation. So it was an opportunity to meet with them and get some feedback. And I think the last time that I was here, we talked about the potential for a possible restart of some type of energy-producing portion of the site, what are they're called small,
Modular reactors.
the SMR,
SMRs.
small
Uh-huh.
modular reactors. So the concept was that perhaps a portion of the existing site, the Indian Point site, would be reserved or left with the existing underlying zoning that would allow for the peaceful use of atomic energy. And that would allow, that way there's no revisions to the zoning. They can, if they have that technology and it's acceptable, they'd have, again, there's all sorts of permitting that would need to be done, but that would be part of the zoning rationale. So we asked them to give us some feedback on if they were to preserve a portion of the site, almost a hole in the donut, if you will. How would that exactly lay itself out? And then we also talked about, there was the discussion with the area that's being reserved for the spent fuel rods, and that there are certain restrictions with respect to setbacks that need to be adhered to. So it was an opportunity to get some input, because there's, I think as the village has discussed in the past, there's that area that's adjacent to Lens Cove, which may be one of the first areas that's released for redevelopment. And so it would be to have a better understanding of what the limitations are, how much area is actually available for potential redevelopment. So that, again, that would help inform the discussion and would help inform your board going forward. The other issue that was discussed by Holtec is there's the property, when you drive in and you go to the left, there's the
training center.
the training center.
The old Unit 3 entrance.
Yes.
Nightclub.
So there was discussion. They're contemplating, they're thinking about introducing a data center as a use at that site. It doesn't fit under your existing zoning. It's not currently contemplated under the proposed zoning. But they threw that out there because it's their property. They're looking for ways to kind of monetize portions of their property. There are some limitations with respect to the amount of energy that those facilities use, and whether there's even enough energy in the current grid to support a use like that. So they need to do a little bit more homework on that type of use, and whether it's something that they would feel comfortable with coming back to the village. But given that, there's an opportunity here to hear from you whether you would contemplate that type of use on that portion of the site. There's the ability to create more flexibility in the zoning, the proposed zoning, to allow for something like that type of use. But I would need to have some feedback from you, one way or the other, because it's, you know, that's your responsibility in this process, is to help direct the zoning language, the zoning text, and the types of uses that would be contemplated or eventually allowed along that portion of the village.
And I think they were waiting to hear back from the New York State Independent Operators if there's enough power. And I know they mentioned if there's not enough power for that, then the concern might be there might not be enough power for the redevelopment.
Well, I'd want to do a more
Of the
a
240
comparison.
acres.
There's
Data center eats a lot more.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
The
Oh,
data
yeah.
centers are a tremendous
Draw.
draw. I have an article from the American Planning Association, and they said something to the effect that data centers use approximately 1% of the worldwide
Correct.
use of energy. So it's a tremendous draw on the grid. So they would have to show that they can actually that the energy is there to support that type of facility. So whether that's going through New York State or whatever agency it is, but they would need to prove that out.
They're building more and more of them all over.
Yeah.
Dave, what are your thoughts on tech centers compared to what they were thinking of, like research and development, tech centers? I know, like Silicon Valley in Denver, they have something. I'm just, I rely on your information, but I'm just not sure if that's a place to put housing next to certainty there. So what, like,
Again, I think we could certainly provide more flexibility in the zoning that would allow for different types of uses.
I'm sorry, I just want to tell the board.
yeah, sure.
A large-sized data center takes enough energy for 32,000 homes. 32,000
Would there
homes.
be any energy left for the rest of the development?
That's this.
That's why
I don't
that's the
think,
amount of data.
honestly, I don't work with NISO or anything, but I kind of find it difficult without Indian Point operating that there would be that much power on the grid. Because Con Edison worries. I mean, they're shaking in their boots in the middle of summer when it gets really, really hot, whether they're going to be able to supply. And without Indian Point,
Up to 50,000 homes, one data center can eat up electricity.
so I don't. That's why I don't really think that's going to come to fruition. So I was just trying to think of something.
So to get it back to your question, like a tech center campus, there certainly could be something like, the medical field, particularly in Westchester County and the metropolitan area. There are other examples of that. When you go down to, I'm trying to think, the Simone properties.
Regeneron.
Regeneron.
And Regeneron is probably the classic example, and whether they would have, whether there's other groups like that. There's the North 60 in the town of Mount Pleasant. I think that's another example. And the North 60 example is interesting because that's a mixed-use approach where they're doing the tech portion, but they're also including a residential portion. And it's kind of, and then there's also some commercial aspects to that as well. And that's all part of a comprehensive development evaluation. So that is, I mean, if you can find the right developer who would be willing to promote something like that and has the wherewithal, I think that's kind of that's a good reuse for that property. I think while there are examples of residential uses next to what you would call onerous uses, they're all throughout Westchester County. You go up and down the train lines, and there are apartment buildings that built right up next to the train lines. If you fly, we talked about this the other day, when you fly into Westchester County Airport, there's a major residential development right underneath the flight path so the residential developers, the housing market in Westchester County is very, very strong. There's constant complaints, there's not enough housing. But I think, and I would defer to the board, if you would like to have some options where those types of uses could be introduced, and you wanted to consider them, we could provide that as part of kind of a zoning strategy. I don't want to discount it, so I really need direction from you as the board. There may be other portions of the site, again, like we talked about the 60 acres to the north, which are more conducive to a residential type of development.
David, are we familiar with the restrictions of building anything near this fuel rods?
When we met with them on site, it was a while ago, and they mentioned there's a perimeter buffer that you need to have that's at least 200 feet. And so we contemplated that as part of the kind of looking at the different segments of the site. But when we met with them last week, they said there's another criteria that has to do with the specific radiation figures.
Yeah, there's levels.
And that goes beyond just the standard 200 feet. It depends on topography. It depends on what's in the intervening area in between, whether there's heavy vegetation, whether there's earth that would, because essentially from what they were saying, it travels essentially in a straight line. So we know with some reasonable expectation about what the buffers are, what the development would be. But that was something that they were going to get back to us with more specifics. So we have a general understanding of what the conditions are that would limit. And there are other things too. You have steep slopes, you have wetlands that all factor in. And then they mentioned they have 2 natural gas pipelines that run through the facility, and then you have the overhead lines. So all that was kind of factored into some evaluation of development potential.
And I know they spoke about the 65 acres. They are going to be doing some work over there. So we had asked a while back about using that ball field again. And so they're going to be doing some surveying over there, which will give them a better picture. So I will tell you now, we talked about 65 acres. It's not going to be 65 acres near Lens Cove. It's, by the
No.
time they do their buffer, I think they've also said that they will form a buffer also with the spent fuel cask. So it's, everything is just, it's in motion, but it's a process at this point.
Yeah, the notion of the 65 acres came out of a study that was done a few years ago when they were just looking at taking segments of that site, but they didn't have the background information
Right.
that has become available over time. So that's why, where there may have been an expectation of 65 acres, it's going to be something less than that, given the current conditions.
But for our purposes and the purpose of just to rezone this zone, really is to come up with some uses that the board feels comfortable with and uses that we don't want to see there,
Correct.
and really just put that on the
Yes.
record, and then let whomever come and however the land develops, you know, just go from there.
And have your public hearing.
Anything more
public
than that,
comment.
we have no involvement.
Correct.
So
No,
if we can
it's
just come up
just-
with a list of items that, you know, or uses that we see on that property, then we'll come up with that list and
Yeah,
That's the
That's
game
it.
plan.
yeah.
And that's why Dave wanted to come tonight to speak about the data center, and if that was something,
Doable.
you know, that the board would be
Yeah, we
interested in.
don't want to preclude it if
No,
if you
no.
feel that that's a development opportunity for the village, then that's something that should be considered.
And I know Marcus had at one point said something about that being one of the lowest taxable
Ratables, there is.
ratables.
That's correct.
But, you know,
Well, you have an opportunity to create like a special permit process where you would evaluate, you know, that particular use within the context of the community. And so there may be opportunities for certain community benefit agreements of that nature.
Make sure
which
you
are-
incorporate it in the zoning.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, and that would be, part of the special permit process, yeah. And
So-
that's
but-
not unusual for other similar types of
And
developments.
just for the board to know, data centers and other communities are considered warehousing, which is, they're storing servers, so the assessment is very low. They have a couple of employees, that's it, but it's humongous. The building permits are pretty good because they're built very strong. But after that, the assessment is very low.
So do you have a table of permitted uses? I'm not saying within the village, but just in other municipalities that we can look at and we can identify and say, okay, these are uses that we feel comfortable in this zone. These are
We
uses
could put something together, yeah.
like
Because
in
otherwise-
You had,
Wise.
didn't you have a list
we
of,
have that?
we had a list.
Well, we
Yeah.
have in the zoning, there's the current list of.
No, but didn't you have some ideas when we first started the process with the
Yeah.
mixed, the mixed
Let
use?
me go back,
Yeah.
go through my
Yeah.
notes, yeah,
Yeah.
and see what other,
Yeah, so, yeah, and that was years ago. And
Yeah.
since Steve is taking time
Yeah.
around,
Oh my
it'll be good that
gosh.
everybody can get that. I know we talked about hotels, we wanted a walkway, maybe a fishing pier, marina,
Yeah.
mixed-use development, so, so
yeah, and those types of uses like hotels and, I mean, you know, kind of mixed use.
restaurants.
Restaurants, that's all included in the current version of the zoning right now.
Okay,
There would be, if you wanted to consider other things like a tech campus or data centers, then that's something I would need some additional input on.
and then if the board wants to know what the assessed value would be on those kinds of uses, we can have the assessor give you some ideas of what
Yeah, I
that will
think
bring
that
in
would be
tax
good.
revenue too.
I think
So you
that
get a
would be
holistic
good.
Just-
picture.
trying to come to a conclusion here. and we can
Agreed.
Get to the finish line.
Agreed.
Yep.
Seems like
No,
this
agreed.
has been talked about for.
Yeah,
Well,
and
and-
start the public process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah,
and then the problem was, we were thinking 65 acres, now we're not, so, you know, the constraints of that, now we know that there's constraints.
Yeah.
So, you know, as we're processing, we're going down the road here, we're moving along, getting new information, trying to course correct, and, but yeah, that would be great. And I still, you know what, I forgot to do it, I still want to go down to Sleepy Hollow, so if the board, any of the board members, I'll get a few dates, would like to go, to see what they've done, there on the site. I think that would be an eye opener
Yeah,
for
both
us
the
too.
Sleepy Hollow Tarrytown.
Yeah, mhm.
both are.
Yes, yep. Okay, good. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Um,
you still need direction.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but I've got,
Okay.
no, I think it was important to inform you of
Sure.
the meeting, what
Mhm.
was discussed. Now you've got some background on data centers and whether those are acceptable types of uses. There were just a couple of other things we mentioned real quick off of this topic, but you're holding the public hearing on May 6th on the M1, M2 lot coverage, just so you know. It's been referred to Westchester County, it's been referred to
The town.
the town.
Clerk.
The town clerk came back and she said there's no
Yep.
objection to
Yep, city
lead
clerk,
agency,
Westchester
city-
County.
Yeah, and your own planning and
Westchester County
zoning.
responded too. They had local, it's a local jurisdiction.
Right, and it was also provided to your planning and zoning
zoning board, yeah.
boards, so that they can provide input before the public hearing. And then, just recently, the city of Peekskill circulated a notice of intent to act as lead agency for a project just across the way. It's in
Bertolini's,
Bertolini's.
Bertolini, yeah, they want to do a
race car.
go-kart. Yeah, go-kart track. And so, the comment that came out from my discussion with Marcus is it's potential for the noise, particularly if you've got the park use at Lens Cove. If you have
Dave,
a
just
potential-
to interrupt for a second, we're
Yeah.
talking about inside, but also
Yeah, it's okay.
outside.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it's
outside
inside
too.
and outside, yeah.
So my
Oh.
concern to the village board is next, right across from the village park. Do you want to put any comments in regarding the noise? Or then if you want to go to a park to enjoy your time, you can have race cars right across. Again, it's a board decision if you want to bring it up as a comment, as a noise, and Dave
I
can write a
think there
comment.
should be a comment, because if you ever, it's not happening right away, but if you ever want to develop in
You're gonna
that
have-
area, you're going to get that noise from the go-karts on the outside,
Yeah,
you
they're going to
know?
have a ramp all the way around the building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I'm not exactly sure what what type of go-kart they have, whether they're electric or whether they're gasoline. But my suggestion would be that, while they've declared their notice of intent, they're the city of Peekskill is the only one who can approve that use. So they're really essentially the lead agency. So my suggestion would, if you respond back, is say you do not object to the city of Peekskill acting as lead agency. However, we do have the following concerns relative to noise, light, activity, those types of things. And that you would request that the village be notified of any public hearing held on that particular application. So you are made aware, you can see the documentation, and then you also have an opportunity to comment at the public hearing stage.
Okay. No, I think that's good, because even people using the park, usually that's peaceful use, and I'm not against go-karts, please. I'm not an old fuddy-duddy. I'll probably be over there myself on the go-kart, so, but just thinking ahead a little.
Well, if there are any other issues that, concerns,
Can't think of-
let me know, we can include that
Okay,
in a response back.
all right, good.
And that's it.
Anything else for us?
No,
No? All
that's it.
right. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
The next is the dog control. We have an IMA, dog control officer, an IMA with the Village of Croton. And everyone got a copy of this. Any questions on this? I mean, it's much cheaper than going to the town, and that ended up becoming astronomical, the price on that. So are we good? Is the board good with this?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
good
good.
there.
We have a dog control officer, good. Sustainable Westchester, look at that beautiful sunset. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, everybody, you can't see it, but it's
So we're good
beautiful.
with the IMA? We really
We're good with the
sky.
IMA.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So I just want to make the,
Do you need, I'm sorry, do you
Yeah,
need me
we
for
got
anything?
Yes,
two
we do.
developers.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, yes.
So Sustainable Westchester was here last meeting, and they talked about solar panels here. And Marcus, also NYSERDA has a program. The payback for using solar panels here in the building is 5 years. I think that's a lot. He did mention that the Village of Buchanan is the only community that is not part of Sustainable Westchester. And there's a reason for that. As you remember, the city of Peekskill, different communities, they signed on to Sustainable Westchester, and people, the community signed on for power. And the only way that they could do that was by including everyone into that. Remember?
Yeah, yeah.
Including every person, every household into Sustainable Westchester. It's renewable energy, whatever. It's more expensive. And we, and I especially, had a problem with telling people who their electric provider should be. So that turned a lot of people off, and that's why we never became part of Sustainable Westchester. And the program that they have for the solar panels, I don't think is any bargain, any big deal. 5-year payback, and you know what? And we were talking about technology before. That technology, it's just changing so quickly, and in 5 years, it might be old hat in 5 years. So I personally was not interested in getting involved in that, but I also wanted to mention why we never got involved with Sustainable Westchester.
So what's the board's direction? Do you want to tell them you're not interested in either the solar panels or joining Sustainable Westchester? They keep emailing. So whatever you guys want to do.
Well, the mayor just made a decision for us, didn't she? She's not interested.
I mentioned that, but the board can, if you disagree. So we can give Marcus direction.
Yes.
What are your thoughts, Anthony? Do you want-
I'm not interested in it.
Okay.
Okay.
In view of what you said, I would be either.
I've never been interested in it.
Perfect.
So close that chapter.
No
Done.
interest. Yep.
Perfect. Thank
Okay.
you.
So thanks, Mayor, for shedding light on the
Thank you.
background as to why we never entertained it to
Yeah,
begin
because
with.
I remember the people in the city of Peekskill, and then for them to come out of that, so they were signed on, then it was a process for them to even get out of it to go back to Con Edison. It was, I said, oh, no.
They did the same thing up my way.
Really?
And you started seeing your bills, and it was like, what?
It's an
what happened?
opt-out program.
Yeah, you have to opt out.
I opt out the
Everyone
first.
else
I
you
opt out the first day.
Yeah, but why should people have to go
No,
through that
exactly.
process?
I agree
That's
with you.
not right.
And
It's
some
not
people
right.
will miss it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Miss it.
So the next is, I've had a lot of people on Lindsay Avenue concerned about speeding. I spoke to the chief. There's children that live on Lindsay Avenue, and they had requested if we could put speed bumps there. There's pros and cons to speed bumps. The ones, if we do install them, would be the ones that are taken up in the wintertime. So there's like a post that goes into the speed bump. I spoke to the chief, and the chief, I let him know that there is speeding there, and, there's a lot of people, different areas, there's speeding in the village, and the police catch them when they can. It's kind of hard to have somebody there 24 hours to catch somebody. But, so with the speed bumps, I don't know if the board would be interested on Lindsay Avenue just as an experiment, just to see if that's something that would work for us. But there's also a process that goes with that. There would have to be a sign that goes up notifying people that there's a speed bump. So if they're speeding and they hit that speed bump, they're going to go flying. So I don't know if the board is interested in experimenting with that one place on Lindsay Avenue. I know Hudson Avenue used to have the speed bumps on
It
the
does.
corner. They still
I
do?
have to go dry it every day.
Okay.
Yes.
Right at the stop sign.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Anthony, Booth, they have one in Peekskill. They put a poster in and have holes in the blacktop. Does that create any issues over time? By them putting those temporary speed humps?
They're just drilling a hole in the blacktop,
Yeah,
and then if they take it out, they just have to fill it with AC
right, and just do it
Yeah.
every time.
every time, yeah.
Or the speed humps take it out in the winter and then put it back in the spring.
Yeah.
No problem long term.
No, I mean, that's their road, they can drill into it. I mean, it's eventually gonna have to get repaired, but,
Right.
you
Okay.
know, it's not a big effect, though.
Good. Okay.
Because
The
I
only-
know, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, the only question I have is, it kind of opens up, because then you could look at Seward, you could look at Cortland, you
Yeah.
could look
Every
at Bannon,
Yep.
Yeah.
and you're gonna get, the phone's gonna be
Tate
ringing.
Avenue.
Everyone's gonna be asking for it, like anything
It
else.
does open up a can of worms.
Yeah.
Shouldn't speed, it would have to go for a public hearing, correct?
I don't
Place in
think,
speed hump?
No.
No, because they're not permanent, really,
No.
so,
Temporary.
like I
I,
said, there's pros and cons
Tell
to
the
it.
public you were
Well,
doing it.
Yeah.
I would like to hear what the public's feedback would be before
Right.
the board makes any decision.
I think we have police, and I think they should just be a little bit more effective on Lindsay Avenue.
Well, while we're on this subject, I saw last week, okay, several people posted on a thread on Facebook about speeding of dirt bikes and scooters, whether they're electric scooters or gas, whatever they are, up and down Tate. So.
So what about
again,
the speed bumps?
No, but
So
I'm
do you
just
wanna
saying.
kill
Kill somebody when they
No, I-
run over it with a-
No, but I'm just saying,
So-
again, what are we gonna do here? Put speed bumps throughout the whole village?
No, I wasn't, I was just looking to experiment with that to see if it would work,
Right.
because I'm kind of undecided myself, honestly.
Yeah, I would like to see what the general consensus is of the public, and I'm sure a lot of people are not gonna want speed bumps.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong, but
I just wanted to bring it to the board because I had so many people that.
No, it requires multiple signage, and
Yeah,
it does,
both
if you
sides.
do it right, it requires striping too.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
So what we'll do is we'll direct the police department, whether they have to sit in people's driveways or whatever,
Yep.
to, at a certain time, to,
Certain areas.
yeah, in different areas.
what makes Lindsay worse too is it's narrow, right? And there's, especially when there's parking in the street, it becomes, it's
there's
not an easy road to
parking on the side.
navigate, especially if somebody's going a little bit above the speed limit.
Yeah.
So I see the concern, but
And Dan, with the dirt bikes, I spoke to the chief about that because I've gotten a lot of complaints
so you
about that.
probably saw the same thread, or
Oh, I
somebody
didn't,
told you
I
about it.
haven't been looking on Facebook that much anymore. It's not good for your mental health, so stay off of Facebook. But he had said that they're not going to chase.
Yeah, they can't. I mean,
those
legally,
vehicles. But, yeah, so I told him, well, then you need to find out where they're coming from and, speak to the parents that, it's not a safe situation. You're gonna get a situation one day where somebody's gonna be backing out of a driveway, not see somebody, and somebody's gonna get hit. So it's no place to have dirt bikes on the roads, so, but that's just my thoughts.
Well, I'm glad you addressed it with Shane, so thank you.
So for the May 6th meeting, it's going to be the continuation of public hearing regarding parking restrictions on intersections, and all the people have been notified on that. They've received letters. We're also going to do the renewal franchise agreement with Verizon. It's a 5-year agreement. Public hearing regarding declaring the village board lead agency on proposed text amendment. Peddler's permit for Pete's Fire Dogs. And
Church parking lot.
Yep, the church parking lot. And a motion for the unpaid water charges to be re-levied to the tax bill. So, any board members have anything else they would like to say? I just have a few things.
Were we going to put on the agenda about replacing a highway position full-time?
You know what, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of hoping that we could advertise that, because we always look to get somebody that comes to the table with some qualifications, some,
Okay.
something, but if it's up to the board, if the board is ready to vote on that, but I'd like to throw the net out there. I don't even know who this person is that was interviewed, so, I have no idea, but I just, looking at all the resumes, I just thought, if we could.
I just don't want those guys to be shorthanded down there,
Yeah.
that's all. I know it's
what
an
did
item
the
that's
other
going to
guys-
have to be addressed sooner rather than
I think
later.
Marcus and Scoop,
No,
but,
just Scott and Randy are interviewing.
Oh,
It's
okay.
their- It's their recommendation.
okay, so also, Marcus, when do we hire, are we gonna be hiring the summer help at the May meeting?
Well, yeah, we're-
We do? Okay, all right. If you could, let us know who they are. How many applications did we get this year?
3 so far, but I think I have 2 more coming in.
Oh, okay. All right, so, at least we'll have that backup. They start sometime in May.
Right.
So what's the board's thoughts on that? Do you want to re-advertise or for the full-time
I
position?
think the right thing to do is to advertise it. I agree with you on that.
All right.
If they're shorthanded down there, we haven't heard about it.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
surprised, yeah.
That's fine, I'm in agreement with that.
Okay. And then we'll hire those people at the May meeting, and they can start sometime in May. And we hire usually 3 for the summer? Yeah, okay. All right. All right. Perfect, thank you. Also, Marcus, I don't know if we want to wait for when the construction company comes in to do the roads, but the plaque for the clock at the circle, to put that out at the circle again.
Which one, sorry?
The big plaque with the people that donated for the clock out at the circle.
Yeah, I was gonna have Randy and Scott talk to you about that because it's the size of the plaque is pretty big.
Yeah.
So the idea is maybe to put it like on the stand in front of the wall because it's very hard to put it on the wall.
Oh, okay.
So they have some ideas and they want to
Okay.
maybe we could bring they're gonna bring it at the workshop, but if you want to do it at the regular meeting in May, I can come down.
No, that's fine. I just don't want us to
Yeah.
forget that. Did I
Yep.
give you a headache today? You're rubbing your head.
No, I've been getting migraines for the last
Oh,
couple of
no,
days.
That's
all.
not good.
So
It's
the-
The
sorry.
budget, it's the
Yeah,
budget.
it's the budget. It's over, Marcus. Your headache is over.
So I have some renderings. I'll have them get it to the
Okay.
board and maybe
Yeah,
some
good.
ideas what they can put. Was this? I think there's 2 plaques. Did I remember?
No, it's that one big one that
Yeah.
was up on the cement.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one,
Yeah, it's a
yes.
big one.
Yeah,
So
I-
I don't know if they can do it. If not, then maybe we could wait when they're doing the roads, that maybe those guys could help them.
No, that's what they can do. I just
Oh,
want to
okay.
see if you want to put higher or lower. You know, there's
Oh.
options in the size of the stand in regards to holding the plaque up.
So not into the wall.
They say it's going to be very
Okay.
difficult to do
All
that.
right.
Yes.
And the only other thing is I was at the firehouse a couple of weeks ago. Senator Harkin had given the fire department a $50,000 check for new radios. So thank you, Senator Harkin. So anything else?
Hooray, pickleball is back.
It's that season.
The courts are set up. We'll be using the tennis area so that we do not interfere with summer camp. Jackie and I already have a schedule, so when the children are attending summer camp, the nets will be down. Once they leave, the nets will go up. Fridays through Sundays, the nets will stay up through the entire weekend so that the residents can play. Any resident that is interested in lessons, from 1 to 10 residents, the professional instructor will charge $25 per person for 1 hour. If we get 11+ individuals in a group, then the rate will go down to $20 per hour. He is a professional, he is well decorated, and the group that we had last time learned a lot. So again, it is not going to cost the village a cent for the lessons, and I invite everyone to come. Also, tomorrow is Administrative Professional Day, so I publicly like to say thank you to Marcus and his team for the support that you give the village. I know you have paid positions, but you guys go above and beyond. And Marcus, congratulations, you finally got your waiver.
Thank you.
So for those residents that have been asking me, he has the waiver.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay. Anthony, what do you have for us?
Nothing. Congratulations on your waiver.
Thank you, sir.
I forgot that. And thank you for the
Lights.
great work with the budget.
Excellent.
And I'm glad that we all got to reach a compromise with the percentage, with the rate. And I think that's good for the public, good for all of us. And I'm glad the board got to bring that down to where it's comfortable. I think it's comfortable. I think that it's acceptable. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot of money on paper, but to some people it is.
Absolutely.
So.
And I appreciate working with you guys like always. And we're always a team, and I don't take anything in a bad way, so
and you
make
did a
sure
great job. And
we
I don't
work
think
together.
we didn't question you, but as a board and as members of this community, we, and I think we did the right thing.
Absolutely. Great.
Can I just ask the pickleball, is there lights on the tennis court?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't remember.
The AMS project, I know it's moving along
Yes.
quite well. I know the village had outsourced the engineering or the
Inspections.
inspections. Are there any reports, or will that group come in and maybe give a presentation, or just give us an update on?
Oh, if you want that, that's fine. They provide all the reports to the building department as they
Okay.
go through all the inspections and stuff like that.
Just so we-
Yeah, we can have them come down
We
to
know
our
where they
workshop.
are, what the next steps are.
Sure. I can, if the mayor's okay, we can put it on the next
Absolutely.
workshop and they can do a
That's good
presentation.
information.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Laker, I did speak to Peter about that.
Yeah.
Making sure that they're doing their inspections and stuff like that. We had this conversation, And he's there, and he's there weekly, he said.
Yeah.
And the consultant is also there
Right.
with him, and so I think we're good, but I haven't seen any data either,
No,
so.
no, that's. Yeah,
All right, good.
And maybe
Problem.
just to let the public know what the next
Absolutely.
steps are, and they'll know to see the sidewalks coming soon, or whatever their next
Yep.
plan of attack is.
Good idea. That's great. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Dan, last but not least.
No, the only thing I had is just, people that have concerns about the parking, the public hearing's still, it's still open. We're going to have a discussion on it again at the next meeting. I did get, a couple people did reach out to me by email
Okay.
with some
Are they
concerns.
okay with it, or?
One was in agreement that Lake Street is an issue.
Okay.
So, anybody has comments, please feel free to email a board member so we can relay it on to everybody else. But again, just if you have concerns, show up at the public hearing, sorry.
All right, thank you.
And happy spring.
Yeah, finally. Any comments from the floor? No? Okay. Stephanie, anything for us tonight? Nope. Marcus, anything?
Nope, thank you.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session again to discuss negotiations. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.